Welcome to the Utah NHL Team Podcast, where we'll be diving into everything you need to know to be a day one fan and to be extremely excited for this team as it comes to Salt Lake City this year. Going to go ahead and dive into it right now. Episode number 5. Thanks everyone for listening. I just want to say I can't believe everybody's still tuning into these things. I've been getting some great positive feedback, some suggestions for ideas, and I've been loving it. This has been super fun for me. I'm still obviously learning how to do a podcast. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and it's been fun. I think it's going to continue to get better and better every time I record and every time we do one of these episodes. I've got something new today, actually a couple new things that we're going to be bringing into the pod. I'm going to be switching from calling them segments to calling them periods and breaking down the pod into 3 periods each time. That was a suggestion from a listener out there. I appreciate that. The next thing that's going to be brand new this time is I've got my first ever interview on the pod. We're going to be saving that for period number 3. And we dive into, in the interview, the event that happened this week where the NHL players flew from Arizona. They met the fans, were received with, upwards of 12,000 fans sitting in the stadium waiting for these guys to walk in. Had a great little introduction, really positive event, seeing all the hockey fans turn out. There were so many people were turning them away. And, really, I'll talk about that more in the interview. So that'll be period number 3. To kick off today with period number 1, I think that one of the best things that everybody can do to prepare and get excited about this new NHL team is watch the playoffs right now. We're in the first round of the playoffs. I said it before on the pod. This is like March Madness. This is the beginning. It's madness. There's games on every single night. There's, usually 4 or so games on every night, and they are high flying hits, goals, everything that you want out of games. They're happening every single night right now. So find some time, turn on a game or two. I've got a few suggestions for you guys. If you're looking for games to watch or series to keep an eye on, I would say here's my 3 top series to watch right now. Number 1, obviously this is going to be a little biased here, but Winnipeg and Colorado. This series has been up and down for both teams. There's been poor goaltending. There's been amazing goaltending. There's been a ton of goals every single game, high energy, tons of skill. Its series is tied 1-1 right now. They're headed to Colorado. They actually play tonight. I'm recording before the game. I'll turn it on after I record this podcast. The other 2 series I'd say to watch out for are Boston and Toronto. This is an original 6-team rivalry. And when I say original 6, I mean the first 6 teams that were to play in the NHL, and that one was Boston and one was Toronto. So they've been rivals for over 100 years. They've been going at it. They're going at it again this year. Boston is up 2-1 in the series right now. Toronto has some, really key players. Austin Matthews nearly scored 70 goals this year. Boston has, the intensity. They have the Brad Marchand. They've got, this game's got a lot of drama to it. So I'd say watch that one. The other one that I would say is, and this is a hunch, so the Vegas Golden Knights also have a lot of drama around their team, and the Dallas Stars, who finished number 1 in the West, are actually down in the series 2-0 to Vegas right now. So Vegas had a bunch of players injured that miraculously became healthy right in time for game 1 of the playoffs, and they've been humming ever since. So Dallas, who's had a tremendous regular season, great playing, great depth on their team, they've lost 2 games. So they're actually headed to Vegas now to play game 3. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Dallas can respond. They're, the number 1 ranked team in the West right now. So it would be interesting to see them go down to Vegas in the first round. I'd watch those games. Dallas is going to be putting everything on the line for that one. Those are my recommendations for that. I'm going to keep period number 1 short here because I know we've got the interview coming at the end. So moving over to period number 2, I want to do a little introduction to some rules within hockey, just some basic things. I'm going to start super basic today with if you were to go to a game or if you're watching any of these games on TV, you might stop and pause and say, what just happened? Or what's that? Why did that happen? These are a few things that I think will help explain the game as you're watching it. So think of a hockey sheet of ice or a hockey rink. There is a red line down the middle, and then there are 2 red lines down by the net that extend across the ice or the sheet of ice. And then there's also 2 blue lines that break the ice into thirds. So from one blue line to the end is considered, for example, it could be the offensive zone for one team. The middle would be the neutral zone. And then the other side where their goalie is would be their defensive zone. So there's those 3 zones, and then there's also these red lines that are across the ice. When playing in a game, there's 2 things that I think are, if you're a new fan, maybe a little bit tricky to understand, but once you watch a game and you see it a couple of times, you pick it up pretty quickly. There's offsides and icing. So offsides references those 2 blue lines that break the ice into thirds from the offense zone, neutral zone, and defensive zone. So what that means when a player's offsides, it means that they were in the offensive zone before the puck was. So that means that they were on the offensive side of the blue line before the puck went into the blue. So that's it. The puck has to go across the blue line into the offensive zone before the player. So you'll see this 10, 15 times in a game where a player skates just a couple seconds or just one step in front of the puck into the offensive zone. You'll hear a whistle, and then they'll take a face-off in the neutral zone. So in the middle, if there's an offensive offsides, then they will call, blow a whistle, and then there'll be a face-off in the neutral zone. Face-offs happen anytime the whistle's blown or the puck goes out of play. There's face-offs in, offensive zones, neutral zones, and defensive zones, depending on where the whistle was blown. So that's offsides. The puck has to cross the blue line before a player does. The next one I'll break down is icing, and this one's pretty easy, I would say. Essentially, you cannot just throw the puck all the way down the ice. You have to skate with the puck all the way to the center red line, and then you can dump the puck, is what they'll call it, or shoot the puck all the way into the other end and then go for a change or, skate down and go try to retrieve the puck. A nuance of this rule is that when you do shoot the puck into the other team's defensive zone, if it doesn't cross that far red line, so the red line that the goal is on, then it's not icing. So it's only icing if the puck goes far enough into the other team's defensive zone that it passes that red line where the goal is on. So you have to not get icing, you have to skate past the center red line, and then you're free to shoot the puck as far into the defensive zone of the other team as you want, or as far into your offensive zone as you want. But if you're behind the red line on your side of the ice, you can only go down as far, you can only shoot the puck as far or dump the puck as far as the other team's red line where the goal is. So hard to maybe visualize this, but just keep in mind that you can't just throw the puck into the other net. There needs to be a little bit of strategy behind it. You have to understand how far you can throw the puck, and then you need to be at least get to the center of the ice before you throw the puck in. So some basic rules. Keep an eye out for those. You'll hear plenty of whistles throughout a game because of these 2. They're in place to help the game move and to help scoring, honestly, to really penalize teams that are playing poor defense and not let them just launch the puck anywhere or skate anywhere so that they can, get a whistle or a fresh pair of legs on the ice. That's why these rules are in place. The last thing that I'm going to bring up today, and I'm not going to dive too much deep detail into this because there's a lot of different penalties that can be called, but I want to mention the penalty box, because this is what everyone thinks of when they think of hockey, or at least at some point when they're thinking about hockey, they go, oh, the penalty box. It's like going to timeout. You put somebody in the corner for 2 minutes and they sit there until their 2 minutes is up and then they get back on the ice. So the penalty box is where players go when they take penalties. There's numerous amount of penalties. I'll explain those in future periods, but really the typical penalty is 2 minutes long, and you're in the penalty box until either the 2 minutes expires, or if the opposing team scores a goal, then you get to get out early. So if you see someone get out of the penalty box early, it's likely because the opposing team scored a goal. There's also 4-minute penalties and 5-minute penalties and 10-minute penalties as well that will happen after certain things. But the vast majority that you're going to see in a game are going to be 2, maybe 4 minutes. You'll see, on average, I'd say probably anywhere between 2 to 4, maybe 6 on like a pretty high penalty day. So 2 to 6 penalties per game. So keep an eye out for that when you're watching these. And when you're in the penalty box, your team is down a player. So hockey is usually played 5-on-5. When you have a player in the penalty box, it's 5-on-4. So the team that doesn't have the penalty or a player in the penalty box has an advantage of one player for those whole 2 minutes. So that's why you don't want to take penalties. You give the other team an advantage of an extra player for 2 minutes, and then you're sitting out of the game. So that's it for period number 2 today. Appreciate everybody. Let me know if you have any other thoughts of things that you'd want to be explained in the game. I'm going to start high level, and we'll get deeper into some more systems and things like that in the game. But for today, introduction, wanted to keep it high level. Moving into period number 3, I want to do a quick caveat. I was interviewing Brady, is his name. I'll do some more introductions here in a second. And we had to promptly stop our interview. So it's going to abruptly stop at the end, but we'll just call that a cliffhanger for today. So Brady is a founding member of Utah Valley University's hockey program. So he spent time playing AAA in Colorado and has family in the organizations of club hockey throughout basically every level in Utah right now. So he's really well connected and excited to have him on the pod. Okay, they're going to throw it over to myself for the interview now. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. We've got episode number 5. Our first guest ever is going to be hopping on. We got Brady Fisher. Brady has spent a ton of time playing hockey and in the hockey world in both Utah and Colorado. He's got a lot of connections to club hockey and rec hockey throughout the state. And we're going to be asking him some questions, hopefully get some insider information on what's going on with the team. Brady, welcome to the pod.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited to get to chat with you a little bit and to be part of this, so thank you.
Yeah, I think a good way to kind of kick this off, and something I might continue to keep doing, it seems like the segment Hockey Talkie has been pretty popular amongst the listeners. So Brady, what's your favorite chirp or slang term in hockey that you use frequently?
That's a tough one, but I think something frequently that I even have just grown with outside of even hockey is just adding bud to the end of everything. I don't know why, but I do. It's like, how you doing, bud? Or like, you're dusty, bud. That kind of a thing. So
I like that one. That's one that I do as well. I think that it's interesting because some people think that saying bud is offensive or demeaning to hey buddy pal, but to me it's endearing. It's hey man, bud. It's just how you talk.
It's funny you say that. At first I would definitely would mean it in a negative way, sheesh bud. But now it's bud is such a big part of my vocabulary. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. But I think now it could be used in a good or a bad way. So that's definitely my favorite, and that's probably why.
We're adding that one to the dictionary today. All right, so I mentioned this last pod. We actually went to the event. Both Brady and I were there at the Delta Center yesterday for the welcoming of the former Arizona Coyotes, now Utah NHL team, TB named. So I guess, Brady, what were your initial reactions of the event? Having it been yesterday, we've had some time to sit and think about it, but just first thoughts about how it went, or did it go as expected?
Yeah, I guess kind of to give a recap to anybody that wasn't even there. We parked over, I guess, just north of Gateway and walked over. And as we walked over, there was a big line that was extending from like where you walk in on, I guess that's the west side of the Delta Center, all the way down south, like down the entire block. And as you looked up towards the east from Gateway, there was another line wrapping up going west. That was like the span of like a block and a half, 2 blocks. So it was kind of interesting to see how many people were in line. But
what time did you get there?
I got there like right at 4 o'clock. Like right when doors opened.
That's about when I got there, and I waited in line probably till about 4:30 before I actually was like in the doors. It was a crazy turnout, and I think everyone was in line they were giving out free food and then also some vouchers to preseason games.
I definitely got the vouchers. I think one of the lines was going faster than the others, and so I snuck lines. And so I got in pretty quick, got some vouchers to some preseason games, which would be pretty cool. But they wrapped you in right to get free food right away. So you get drinks, your hot dogs, your cookies, and then
you got a cookie?
Yo, of course.
I did not get. They were gone by the time I got in there.
But then I thought it was a little awkward at first, like how you had to like go choose your own seat. So didn't really know what was open, but got lucky enough to find some seats in the lower bowl with my dad and my brother. And my mom ended up coming up as well, so it was cool just to see everything. They were showing some highlights on the big jumbotron, which is way cool. And
what were your thoughts on, as Brady's a lifelong hockey fan, and so am I myself. Like I've been to a ton of NHL events and a ton of high level hockey events in my life. And what were your thoughts on the fans that were there? What takeaways from just the environment in general?
Yeah, it's it's funny you bring that up, because I think for some events like that are free like this, you never know who you're going to get to show up and who's just coming for the free food or the free this or the free that. But what was refreshing is, regardless of people that were there or not there, it was packed, and they had to close the doors off at a certain point because there were so many people in there, and everybody had ended up staying until the end of the event. So regardless of the fan types, like the support that this is going to bring to our team, whatever the Utah, whatever they're going to be called, it's incredible to see that the amount of support the community is going to put out towards these guys.
Yeah, I thought that was honestly a great point. Like everybody, I think it was probably 20 minutes before the event even started, they were turning people away.
Yeah.
Upper bowl completely full. I think the final number I saw was like 12,500 people in attendance. They didn't quite have all the seating open in the arena, but the vast majority of it was full. Everybody was butts in chairs cheering. I actually thought it was kind of funny. I think there's a lot of new hockey fans in the state, which is fun, and that's why we're doing this podcast, is to inform and help everyone know everything they want to know and need to know to be a day one fan of this team. I thought it was awesome to see people out there, asking questions, talking, and just really getting excited about the new team. We were doing I think we need to get a team name going here soon, because I would say sitting in those chairs, that people wanted to chant something. You could feel it. You could feel like people wanted to start a cheer, but no one really quite knew what to cheer. There was a couple Utah random cheers.
It was kind of awkward, because in there was Utah, 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 and then it was let's go Utah. Finally stuck a little bit, which was kind of cool. But yeah, everyone's craving a team name. What are your thoughts on the team name? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm still kind of in the air of I don't know if the right name is out there yet. There are some new developments I've seen just today, even with some ones kind of breaking into social media and getting passed around. One that I haven't brought up thus far was Utah Mammoth. I actually like that one quite a bit. There is a professional lacrosse team in Colorado called the Mammoth. You can have teams named the same thing. I don't know if that's a big deal, but I like that. I like the Mammoth. The other one that we've heard today a lot was the Outlaws.
I love the Outlaw name. I think the Outlaws makes a lot of sense. We've got a lot of Bandits and Cowboys from the state of Utah. Maybe on the outside looking in, a lot of folks don't consider Utah as an outlaw state, but once they kind of understand our rich history of outlaws, Butch Cassidy is from Utah, born in Utah. Eventually he moved out, right? But there's a lot of famous outlaws from here. Utah is home to one of very few wild horse groups. Wild horses still roam out here in Utah, which is kind of cool.
I didn't know that.
Lots of big rodeos are in Utah. A lot of famous cowboys, rodeoers are from Utah as well, like the Wright brothers, Josh Frost, those kind of guys, big riders. But I think Outlaws just makes a lot of sense, and it's a wild bunch, right? Yeah. That's what a hockey team is. It's a wild bunch of bandits, a bunch of outlaws, and I think it'd be really, really, really kick ass to be like, welcome to the Wild West.
Yeah,
you know
I think people don't think of that when they think of Salt Lake City, Utah, but there definitely is an element of the Wild West out here as well. I think I could get behind that, and I think I've been diving into the players a lot more this week and prospects. This team has ginormous prospects. The average prospect size is probably 6'4". They've got a number of players 6'6", 6'7" in the American Hockey League right now. So I could see that name really taking form and that identity like coming to life in Utah with the Outlaws and just being a rowdy bunch out there. That could be fun.
At the end of the day, whatever it ends up being, Outlaws, Mammoth, Yeti, Blizzard, I think I'm going to be a sucker and fall in love with it regardless of what it is.
I'm buying a jersey no matter what.
Yeah. Jersey, hat, T-shirt, scarf, glove combo. Here I come. But take my money. So
I think also on the event like yesterday, what happened a little bit is it gave a small like peek of what it might be like to attend an actual NHL game. They had, I think the ice was real. It was kind of hard to tell if it was actually like real ice down there.
I think it was with the carpet they had down there.
Yeah.
Like, if you saw some of the players at the very end, like kind of like come out and like, you know how like pick a couple steps on the ice and you kind of like glide across it. A couple of guys have done that, so I think it was definitely real.
And they had the boards up too, so they had the rink, I'd say like 90% constructed down there.
Yeah.
But they, for just the event, they had like a stage up there and everything for everybody to get onto. But gave a small peek of what it was like to, or what it will be like to attend an NHL game there. I guess, Brady, it'd be interesting, what if you had to let somebody know that's never been to a game before, like what would you tell them as they prepare to go to their first NHL game?
I think anyone that you talk to that says they've ever been to an NHL game will tell you it's very fast and it's very, very exciting. There's a lot going on. But it's not comparable to any other sport. Basketball is obviously tight, compact, and it's a fast game as well. But hockey, those guys are moving at 20 and 30 miles per hour, sometimes even faster. And it's consistently throughout the entire game. So I think a fast, fun-paced environment, not to mention these guys are moving so fast, but they're banging into each other. They're hitting each other. And there's an incredible amount of force that's being put into one another and into the puck. And you see someone shoot a puck and it goes between, 80 and 100 miles per hour, and a goalie has the hand-eye coordination to stop it from that close. It's pretty amazing once you kind of sit back and think about what's actually going on in front of you. So.
Yeah, I would say like one of the things that I hear often when I will bring friends to games or something is exactly what Brady's saying, that the game is so fast and the players, you may not notice this or even know it at all, but it's a live line change. So think of the NBA where any player could just run to the sideline and another player could hop on. So these players are full on sprinting for anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute and a half, and then they hop over the boards and another player hops out. So the game, it doesn't stop unless there a puck's out of play or covered. Really, this game it moves so quickly, and the players are going as fast as they can until they get a little bit tired, and then they switch out for another player. And you don't really notice that even when you're watching it on TV as much, because a lot of times it's out of the screen. But when you're there at a game, you're watching these players hop over the boards and move around quite a bit. I would say like that, the sounds of the game are always really exciting. The cutting of the ice and the blades, like these guys, there's a lot of force. I don't know the physics behind it. I think inertia maybe is a word that should be used. But
definitely.
It's honestly like it's a very unique environment as far as the sounds of the game versus like other sporting events.
There's definitely many sounds as a former hockey player that just like get me excited. Like hearing the puck off the post, I don't know why, but it just fires me up. Yeah. Like just hearing blades cut into the ice. When you hear
sticks on the ice,
you hear a puck get past somebody that catches the pass. It's like
crisp pass.
Crisp pass. It's like a clap almost. Like I don't know, just like,
or even like a shot, like a slap shot, like, you know, hitting the net or hitting the boards even, or like the glass
or
behind
the
the
goalie
net.
like catches it in his glove.
Yeah,
and, like,
you hear
can
the pad.
it, and it's just like, yeah, stuff that just fires me up.
Yeah, those are all things that like you got to hear in person. It changes everything when you're at the game in person, at ice level. Where I guess that brings to the next question. Like, if I'm buying tickets to this game where we have, you know, 27,000 people have pre-registered for season tickets,
I'm sure it's gone up now since they had more being sold out yesterday.
Yeah, like where should someone sit? Like, where's the ideal? Where do you like to sit at a game? I've got my thoughts.
That's a good question. Being a former player, I love to get as close as I possibly can now because I love to see facial expressions of the guys on the ice. I love to like look at their gear and just all that kind of cool stuff. But I think at first, not necessarily too high, but like maybe like 20 rows up so you can see the entire span of the ice. It's not quite like an NFL game where you necessarily, like if you're on, let's say, the 50-yard line, you can only catch the parts of the game in front of you. But the rink being as big as it is, it's nice to sit kind of right in the center because then you can see everything. That's kind of my thought. It's easy to watch left to right, and there's so much action going back and forth that you're not really missing out on anything.
Yeah, I would say there's something unique about hockey games where there's 3 periods, so teams shoot twice on a certain end. So I like to sit where, you know, my home team is shooting on offense twice.
Makes sense.
Since there's 3 periods, you switch sides every time. I like to sit on the offensive side twice, which is, you know, like the home side of the ice. And then I actually, you know, I kind of like being, you know, 20 or so rows up and maybe even like in the corner a little bit because it just offers a really good like line down where the red line, I guess, where the net is. Oh yeah. All right. Well, thanks Brady for hopping onto this podcast. We've got to wrap up a little quick here, but I'm sure we'll follow up on this later. Thanks.
Thanks everyone that's made it this far into the pod. Again, apologies we had to end so abruptly with that interview. We're going to bring Brady back. We're going to pick up where we left off. Everybody, looking forward to the weekend. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you next week.